The city of Tshwane is set to elect its new mayor tomorrow. This is after the removal of Cilliers Brink, and the Democratic Alliance is calling for his reinstatement. Tshwane has had 6 mayors since 2016 after joining into a coalition. The DA's Federal Chairperson Helen Zille says the removal of Brink might jeopardize the relationship between the party and the ANC. She joins us now for more on this and also what to expect tomorrow. Helen, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. So after Cilliers Brink was removed in that motion of confidence, you penned a letter to the ANC and spoke about the Stability Pact. Has the ANC now come back to you around its decision and what could happen tomorrow, whether they will support Cilliers Brink?
No, the ANC hasn't come back to me, which is a clear indication that they are very divided internally. So when the ANC doesn't come back, when I don't hear from them, it means that they can't reach agreement, and that is what is happening this time.
Was that the last interaction with the ANC, with that letter of the 27th of September?
I think there have been a few WhatsApp messages and things in between, but it was my last formal interaction with the ANC, yes.
Yeah. Are you privy to share those with us, what those interactions on WhatsApp were about?
Well, it was all about seeing whether we could get a stability pact going in various municipalities throughout the country, in Nelson Mandela Bay, in Tshwane, of course, in Ekurhuleni and in eThekwini. So we were trying to get a stability pact for all the metros, but when they decided to sponsor the motion of no confidence in Cilliers Brink, that obviously then came to an end.
Yeah. So does this mean that the Democratic Alliance, as far as it's concerned, that Stability Pact will remain in jeopardy if Cilliers Brink is not elected tomorrow as mayor?
Well, there won't be a Stability Pact unless Cilliers Brink is reinstated. It just will not exist.
So meaning that the Democratic Alliance will walk away from those conversations?
Yes, we won't be in those conversations anymore.
Okay. Do you have a deadline?
Well, tomorrow is obviously the deadline because the vote happens tomorrow. Okay.
Let's speak about Panyaza Lesufi, the provincial chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, and the argument that has been put forward and some of your members in the party describing the ANC in Gauteng as being a mafia. Where do you stand now on your understanding around the decision that was taken in Tshwane specifically around the removal of Cilliers Brink, because his argument was that this was a decision that was taken at a national level?
Well, you know, you've got to believe who you believe. I mean, obviously there's huge tension between Panyaza Lesufi and the national ANC. That is why he was summoned to Lutuli House on Monday to explain his comments and to explain what he'd said and done. So, you know, there's huge tension and a huge difference of opinion about how to proceed. And I do know that the national ANC wants to achieve stability in the metros. And I know that we were talking about how we did that. And I know Panyaza has refused to cooperate with that project.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? How is he refusing to cooperate with that project?
Well, by sponsoring and supporting a motion to take out our mayor in Tshwane. And that hardly enables stability to happen in that city. We're making good progress in fixing the finances there, which is the foundation for everything else that has to happen there. And unfortunately, now that progress is going to end.
Yeah. Again, his argument is that that was a national decision of the ANC for them to go ahead with that motion of no confidence in supporting it.
I think you need to ask the ANC that question. My understanding is that the national ANC was not keen on that.
Okay, what's your understanding then about the ANC nationally not being keen on it? What do you understand where the ANC nationally stood on this matter?
Well, you need to ask the ANC about where the ANC stands.
Sure, I'm asking about your understanding.
Yeah, my understanding was that the national ANC was keen to have stability pacts in all of the major metros. And that means we would leave the ANC's mayor in Ekurhuleni, and they would leave our mayor in Tshwane, etc., etc. And then Lesufi didn't want to play ball.
When you speak about national, are you able to share the names at a national level? Who are those people?
Well, everybody knows who we've been negotiating with, and everybody knows who the key negotiators are that have been designated by the ANC. So it's the same team that were negotiating the government of national unity, and they did so successfully. You'll remember that after having negotiated a government of national unity, when we went now down to the provinces, we couldn't get an agreement in Gauteng because Lesufi just refused to make us a fair offer. I mean, we only were 6 percentage points behind the ANC in Gauteng, that's all. And they wanted to give us 3 meaningless portfolios with 2% of the budget and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't serious. He didn't want us in the coalition. That's the point. And we saw that he was running counter to the national ANC very quickly at that point.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I remember that when the discussions were taking place about the government of national unity, one of the points that continuously came up was whether this will trickle down to a local government level. Was there any agreement, though, with that after the statement of intent on the government of national unity that indeed it will then filter through to a local government level? I know you speak about the Stability Pact, but is that Stability Pact informed by the conversations that we're having around the statement of intent?
Look, the statement of intent was supposed to trickle down to provinces. It did do so in KwaZulu-Natal very successfully, and it did not do so in Gauteng because of Panyaza Lesufi. And we did not, at that stage, in any way include the metros or local authorities. But now the ANC seemed clear that they wanted to start those discussions at the major metros to get stability in the major metros. And again, Lesufi has tried to prevent that.
Yeah. And with that Stability Pact, would it be a Stability Pact that in the hung metros especially, the only members that will form part of the Stability Pact are political parties that are part of the government of national unity, meaning that you exclude, for instance, the EFF?
Well, the DA won't go into government with the EFF. We've made that very clear indeed. So, of course, the Stability Pact from our side would not include the EFF.
Okay. Let's deal with another matter quickly, Helen, and that is in relation to former Judge President now, John Hlophe. He has now decided to resign from the JSC. What does this mean for the case before the High Court in terms of Part B of that matter around his eligibility to be a member of the JSC? Does the matter become moot?
Well, it would seem at face value that it would become moot, but I must just check with our legal team that if we withdraw the case, John Hlophe won't decide to come back.
Because if you think about it also in Part A of the matter, the court, and there is at least some agreement between the National Assembly as well as some of the parties that the National Assembly cannot simply rubber stamp a nomination from a political party. But what happens beyond not rubber stamping a nomination from a political party?
Well, obviously, MK is allowed to have their nominee on the Judicial Service Commission. They should be allowed to do that. They're constitutionally allowed to do that, and they've got a space to nominate somebody. Our argument is that they cannot nominate an impeached judge. If a judge has been found not worthy to sit as a judge and to be a judge on the basis of gross misconduct, then it makes no sense for us to appoint that judge to approve other judges and to select other judges. That makes no sense at all. And that is the case we were making before the court.
Yeah. Is the Democratic Alliance going to push for some rules to be instilled in the rules of Parliament with regards to that? Because the argument from the ANC, and this was actually one of the first points in the Government of National Unity where you didn't agree